walk around for training sessions. So Corrie is here, Corrie Harding. Are you from Realty Solutions or?
Realty Solutions, yeah, so the Port Credit Office in Mississauga.
And we're very, very grateful to have her here.
Thank you.
Corrie has a business that's very focused on sellers, which I thought would be great for you guys. So I'm going to leave you the floor. Give us maybe a little bit of overview about you and your team, and then
Yeah. So Corrie Harding Keys. I don't see any familiar faces in the audience here today. I've been a realtor since 2003. Started my real estate career with Remax condos downtown Toronto, actually. So I used to do primarily condos, selling a lot downtown Toronto. 3 years ago, August, we had moved west. And I made the decision, it was time to change. I was somewhere for almost 12 years. And that's where I joined Keller Williams Realty Solutions, where I live now in Port Credit, Mississauga, which was the best decision ever. And here we are today. So now, even though I still do my past clients downtown, the condos and the investors, because I'm very experienced with that market, I essentially changed markets when I went to Mississauga and to work closer to home and essentially to be in a higher price point. Really. So now I can do less units, make more money, and this year has actually been my best year ever in real estate. The last results that went out for Canada, I was number 6 in Canada for top individual agent, which is awesome. Yay! After changing markets in 3 years. So coming from condos to houses, I had to really change the way I went after my business. So I never door knocked before until I came over to Keller Williams. Didn't really think people door knocked. It was more urban, young professionals downtown Toronto, first-time buyers, not really people with kids. And now I'm more in a market where you're dealing with families, elderly people, baby boomers that need to move, that kind of stuff. So my direction really had to change in how I was marketing to these people. And here we are today. So we all know about the shift in the market, or what we're all talking about in the media and stuff. So we're here today to address that and talk about, like, as a realtor, what steps you can take to protect yourself, and then really strategies with your clients and your listings specifically on how to educate our clients on what's going on. Yeah. Is everybody from this brokerage here?
Looks like it. Yep.
So primarily Toronto based. Awesome. So today I'm going to talk about the shift in the market, the current market. It seems to be changing daily because now we got the new mortgage stuff that was announced yesterday, and we're all wondering how that's, myself included, going to affect our market. And we're going to talk about what happened in the spring and what we're kind of up against now. Have you guys noticed a change in your market in the last few weeks? Like a real upswing, right, in activity? And buyer confidence, yeah. I was just saying to Irene, myself included, it's like, is it because interest rates have slowly gone up, or people are trying to buy before these new rules go into effect? I think we're all trying to figure it out. Yeah. What do you guys think?
I don't think the new rules.
Not yet, probably.
Not yet, probably.
Yeah.
I was thinking that it would motivate some buyers to move rather than wait.
Yeah.
Especially in the lower price
It
range.
could possibly motivate some sellers too, if they were to assume that the market was not going to appreciate back to what they thought it was earlier in the year.
Yeah, I don't think it's going back to where it was, and that's
Yeah.
the conversation. And that's the conversation with the client now, and we're going to talk about that, is really being realistic with our clients and letting them know where we're at today. Like that ship has sailed, really, it has.
But that's not what people necessarily so much think.
Well, exactly. And then as the professional, it's for us to make sure that they understand, so we're not misguiding them or promising something that doesn't exist. When it was all multiple offers everywhere, not just Toronto, not just Mississauga, everywhere. We were all holding back offers. We had to, right? And then when the market started to shift over the summer, slowly you saw those stop, but then you saw some agents still holding back, right? So you got to have to shift the way you deal with our people.
The holdback is coming back a little bit.
I've seen a few of them in the last probably 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Are you under pricing in Port Credit to hold back offers?
Right now, what's happening is it's pricing pretty much where you think you're going to sell. You're selling for like 98, 99% of list.
And are you holding back?
No. Not right now, but I have noticed, I was saying, in the under million price range, because that's really the entry point over in that area, in that kind of like 900 price point, they're going in a day now.
So you need to start holding.
So I had a buyer lose out on something we just came in a little bit too late, and then some of my listings that have sold really quickly. So I'm like, are we going to go back to holding back on that under million? So it's to be determined, right?
Maybe not with an offer date, but maybe with not before.
Not before, or a longer irrevocable, whatever the case is. There was a townhouse that went on the market. It was doing offers last night, and my client, I don't want to play that game. So I'm like, well, it's not. It's the market dictates if we start holding back offers, and it sold last night with 3 offers. Right, a townhouse.
I think it also,
Yeah.
closing date will have an impact, because if you can close before December 31st, the old rules apply.
No, actually.
You have 120 days to close
No, you have to have a firm deal and a mortgage approval.
before the end of the year, and as long as it closes with,
Mortgage approval that
yeah.
has to be
But not
done.
pre-approval, an actual mortgage approval for,
Okay, thank you for that clarification.
So that is for your particular deal.
correct.
Yeah, and I talked to my mortgage broker today. I'm like, you got to give me the inside, because now I'm talking to you guys and I have clients. We sent out a mass email to our database today about the rules, so I was clarifying. And it is 120 days from when the deal is written that they would have to close. 120.
It has
But
to be written before.
it has to
the
be
year.
written before the end of the year, and I believe it has to close before June of 2018. They're still figuring it out.
Will banks allow secondary financing?
I don't know.
That's a good, you guys, you can take a
I
bank
don't
back
know.
for part of that money or something.
So, I mean, we've all experienced the shift in the market a little bit in some ways, like different ways. I'm sure some of you had issues with some of your closings, or, your buyers getting their financing. I know I did. Did any of you guys in the summertime? No?
One of my listings, the buyer was giving it on one of the deal.
Yeah.
I said, the seller works for one of the top lawyers in Toronto. You don't close, you lose everything.
Yeah. Yeah, I had 3 deals that had some issues. So I was the listing agent on 2 of them and the buyer agent on 1. But because of the listing, it ricocheted into that buyer's deal because it was my client buying. So on both deals, just issue all of a sudden, days before closing, we need an extension on financing. So then we were giving 2-week extensions and then another week. Luckily, they all closed. So I didn't have any nightmares where things didn't close or appraisals came in at a different price. But those are some of the things that were happening in the market. And then with the shift came unrealistic expectations from our clients, because now properties weren't selling in 7 days. So we're back to more of a normal market where they're taking up to 30 days to sell, and people are asking, well, what's wrong? So I felt I was educating my clients from the beginning, like, things have changed and this is where we're at. Not to say that we're going into a bad market, we're going more into a balanced market where we actually have to wait it out a few weeks, have some open houses, and negotiate, right? And work. So people thought it was so strange. I found that things just, that's been up for 2 weeks. Well, that's actually not a bad thing. That's more of a normal market. So these were conversations that I was having with my clients and with my sellers and with my buyers. And a lot of the buyers I was working with during that time that were losing out on offers did buy when the market started to shift. How about you guys? Yeah.
That's what they were all waiting for. They have to get past the psychology of, oh my God, this guy is falling.
Or it might go lower,
Or it might go, yeah.
right? There's some people that are still,
was a big deal at times
Yeah,
still.
might go lower.
yeah, and interest rates might go higher. So it's all relative, right? And then the other conversation was, okay, maybe prices are a little down from when you could have sold in the spring, but you're purchasing now at a lower price. That's a really big one to talk to your clients about, because it all works out at the end of the day if they're also purchasing, because that purchase isn't going to be as high.
Or if they're retiring, the prices now are still way higher than they were in January.
Yeah. Well, if you look at us from a year-over-year basis, our prices are up, but people are comparing our market to just the spring to now, saying that they're down, right? And the media's just been like horrible.
Yeah.
It's just been really bad. So I think probably almost every other day I'm asked by a client or someone, how's the market? Right? This seems to be
So
like
what do you
the
say
topic.
If they think, they say they wanna see if it goes back up to where it was early in the year? Because I actually had.
Like if your seller client wants to wait because they think it might go back
I
up?
had a situation whereby I was going after a terminated listing because I have a buyer for it.
Yeah.
It was listed by a KWH, and so I called her and I said, we have a terminated listing, I have a buyer, can we do something? And she was really happy with it, so I forwarded it to my client. It was a little too renovated, they wanted to put a little more sweat equity in it, but that it was not for them. But she said to me that it was terminated, it had been on the market, it didn't fetch what it was supposed to fetch. And she's saying the market is not where they want it to be, so they're gonna hang out here a little longer and wait until it recovers. Now, that's her deal, that's not something
Yeah.
that I need to argue
With the listing agent about.
But
Yeah, well, these were the
but what
conversations.
should happen in this situation?
Well, again, it's about really educating our people, that like our clients, with where things are at. So that agent should educate our client as to like that's kind of gone, right? Like we're still in a very strong market. This is where we're at today, and necessarily not to wait it out, right? She's giving them promise of that the market's going to go back up. We don't have crystal balls.
Plus with the stress test, who knows, it could go down.
Well, that's the whole conversation.
Yeah, buyer affordability is
I don't know
going
how
down.
it's not gonna go down. It's a 20% loss in their buying power.
Yeah,
A lot of rent.
It's
Yeah.
a 20%
Yeah.
loss in their buying power. It's not that they don't wanna spend the money, it's that they can no longer spend the money.
yeah.
So if you're a seller and you really want to sell, you have to price where the buyers can afford it. So I don't understand how our market is not gonna go down first quarter.
I know, and I even had a buyer today. I messaged him yesterday, and I said some new rules just came out that you should be aware of. I'm going to send a mass email out, right? Because I've been trying to get him like a solidified with the broker to get pre-approved, but he's him and high, and I know it's not a problem. You know those types of people, and I'm going like, you really need to do this like now. So he goes, yeah, I've been reading about it, and people might think, some of us think that the market might come down further, right? So that is, and I said, well, we don't have a crystal ball to predict that, right? Like time will tell.
But that also brings up another strategy, because for the longest time, it's been harder to buy, so we're like, buy first and then sell. If we think that the market is going to...
No, sell first now.
Yeah, sell first.
That changed in the summertime, like as soon as, because I had an issue where I had problems selling a property this year, and it's right when the shift happened and my clients had already bought. It was a problem.
Yeah.
It was not fun.
Get the sellers who wanted to
Yeah.
buy and sell, to get them to shift their mindset to sell first and buy.
Yeah. And that's what I was saying in my listing presentations as this was happening. Like before, buying is the issue. You're not going to sell, no problem, right? And then it shifted. And as I was saying in my listing presentations, you definitely, we want to go on the market first and sell and negotiate a closing that gives us enough time to find the right place. What were you going to say?
I think the important thing, we keep talking of both buyers and sellers who want to wait for something else to happen. If we spend more time looking for other motivated buyers and sellers, we could keep those people simmering.
Yeah.
They will either be right and things will change in their favor,
Yeah.
or they'll be wrong. Whatever they're doing, if they're not in a position to move, we need to find people who want to do something right now.
Exactly.
But we have a bit of a consultative role in creating some urgency based on what we see in the market or don't see in the market. Right?
Sure, absolutely. And some of the people will listen to you
Yeah.
because you're the expert. And if you can change their direction, that's great. Others won't.
Yeah, no, you can't create motivation.
No, exactly. And like today I had my assistant, I'm like, send out, like in really easy terms, basically what this means to people as a seller and as a buyer, right? We sent it out to our database, talk to us immediately, and we put the two scenarios. So we're going to see what the kind of response is. It's gotten some, but it's again letting people know this is what's going on. If you're thinking of selling in the spring, you might want to consider now. That's my conversation with people.
Well, especially
If they're thinking of selling in the next within the next 6 months, I would personally recommend the sooner the better.
Well, especially if they're downsizing out of the market, if they're older,
Yeah.
and they're not buying again,
Yeah.
and they all have a degree that you sell in the spring, because that's the best time to sell.
Yeah.
So they're gonna,
Yeah, and it's a real, I have some, there's some people I know that are kicking themselves that they didn't sell in the springtime, right? In a market where the sellers were, they're being able to name their price and their terms, and things were selling on offer night, and things were getting a bit greedy, come on. And I had buyers that were getting very frustrated and, stepped away from the market. So then the market switches, and all of a sudden we're on a level ground with our buyers, and even more so now as we're going into. And also the relisting of properties with the media, because people were, when everything was shifting and they were coming back, they were listing on the market, holding back offers, and then not getting their price and not selling, and then relisting at a higher price, it messed up all our stats. So it was showing that we had all these new listings, meanwhile they were relists. right? So again, it was, remember all that was happening? So then when the numbers came out and it's going, oh, there's all these, they were really people relisting because they just weren't getting the results of what they were getting earlier. So again, it was being able to explain those results to your clients and why that was happening.
The more accurate statistic is probably active listings at the end of a month versus.
Like the TREB?
Yeah, over the course of that. So when I look at stats, and I actually got that from Kate Peterson, to look at active listings at the end of the month and then how many listings sold.
Yeah.
As opposed to new listings, because there's so many relists in there that it's really skewed. But the active listings, you know, it used to be in March and April, it was as many active listings as it had sales, or slightly more.
Yeah.
And that is now completely different.
And that's a great tool for when you're in a listing presentation to show, like, here's the active listings and here's the actual listings that are selling. So there's this percentage that are not selling. Where do you want to be? Active or sold, right? So that gets into our pricing, making sure that we're pricing right and not pricing too high and stuff. So the seller's market, that has passed. So then our clients, it was about bringing them back to earth, reevaluating their goals, aligning their new strategies, considering a new strategy. All of a sudden it was like, okay, that has changed. All of a sudden we have to look at a completely new strategy and coming to terms with the new market. So these are all items that I was going through with my clients during that time. And even now, talking with people, it still comes up when you're talking to clients about the results they could have gotten or what's going on in the market now. I made calls when I was prospecting before I came here this morning, just calling people that have been on the fence for like the past year. You know, they were going to sell and then they didn't, and then April, and then that passed, and now it's okay, what are we doing? Because now's the time, because we have even further changes coming in, right, that could affect stuff. It's hard to say. But I agree with you, it may affect our pricing. Okay, so we just talked about that. So reevaluating our clients' goals and sitting down. I'm very honest with my clients and very upfront. So I don't, I'm not going to promise something that I can't deliver. It's really important for me when I take a listing to sell that listing. So I'm not an agent that takes a listing and then we'll go back to the client and price reduce. That's not, I know some agents do that, but I like to keep my days on the market, sell quickly for the highest dollar amount. We make sure our listings look fantastic with video and pictures and that kind of stuff. So, we talked about those, considering our new strategy. So now for the buyers, I mean, we have all these buyers that were losing out on offers and now they don't have the competition and they can actually negotiate, right? So explaining that to our clients. We all had a lot of discouraged buyers that were frustrated and stuff. So now is the opportunity during the summer. I think the summer was a big opportunity for our buyer clients to scoop up properties. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
It was like it was, I don't know how it was over in Toronto, but it was like crickets in like open houses and stuff. Was it the same for you guys during the summertime? Like all of a sudden it was like very quiet, right? So a lot of my buyers that I was working with during the springtime did buy during that time and got some, I think some great deals. So as a realtor, what do? A big part of our job is to educate the client, keeping them in the loop as to what's happening in the market, the changes that are happening, and keeping them realistic with what they can expect. Now more than ever, for me personally, I want to work with serious sellers, people that actually want to sell, not someone that wants to test out the market, right? Especially when the market starts to shift and you're putting money into marketing, staging, photography, whatever it is. When the market shifts and we're reevaluating our expenses, we really don't have time to be spending money on things that aren't, like people that aren't serious. Don't you guys agree?
Absolutely.
So it's mindset and action. So we're either running away from the shift or we're making a mental shift to run towards it. I mean, in a shift, we know that the Toronto Real Estate Board, we have, I don't know how many agents now, almost 50,000. It's crazy. But how much? Just under 50,000. And I think the stats say, yeah.
They might have tons of money.
I think the stats are, and I could be wrong, 50% do 0 deals a year And then the next 30% up to 70% do under 6. This is crazy. And then, you know, the rest is, there's only a certain amount that are in the top 1% and actually making a living in real estate. So when a shift happens, it's a great, like, I think it's great to weed out the people that really shouldn't be doing real estate or, you know, are not already struggling as it is. They're really going to be struggling. So it's an opportunity for us as realtors to take market share. Right? That's the way I look at it. I'm like, shift, not shift. Like, I'm going to look at the positivity in this situation and take market share, right? And show my value. Now, you know, we actually have to, things aren't selling so quickly. When we're in those presentations, we have to go in and really show our clients like what we do differently than the competition. How do we stand out from the other properties that are on the market? Because now things aren't selling necessarily in a few days. So expense management, I remember watching a video when I started to notice, I think it was like end of April when things started, not as many offers on offer night and then no offers on offer night. It was a slow, probably the same here, slow process. So one of the things, and I got this from the Shift book, have any of you guys read the Shift book? Isn't it awesome?
What is the shift book?
It's,
The white book.
They have one here.
you should definitely read it. I thought,
Probably haven't really dug it up, like where is it? Somewhere underneath all the offers.
it's like I think there is an audio version. Yeah, so it's a KW book and it talks about the shift. So I definitely opened it back up when things were happening just to kind of like refresh. And Front Street Realtor had a video they had done on the shift as well, and they had some really great points. So you should definitely pick up that book. But one of the things they talk about is expense management. And as a realtor, we spend a lot of money sometimes, right, on things that aren't necessarily bringing us business or that we could potentially cut out or get rid of completely. So it was a great opportunity to look at those expenses and decide what is working and what is not. And for me, when I was going over my expenses, it was alarming to see like some of the things. I'm like, I definitely don't need that. Or, you know, the focus is now this. So did any of you guys go over your expenses or talk about that in the office?
I don't know if anybody else has done it. We've started, just this year, we've started to do, in addition to our regular expenses,
Yeah.
we started to track source of business and the cost for that business. So we have only a few pillars. We have repeat and referral. No, so we split it up. Repeat, referral,
New business.
farming. We have a letter that we says specific letter, it's an absentee deal in a letter. And so we have all of those categories split out. So there's like 5 or 6 of them because we don't have a ton of pillars. And then open houses, because we were big on open houses. And we have those categories up above
Yep.
and what we spend in each one of those areas.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
you have all of your expenses,
Yep.
which is everything, and then just the cost of doing business. And it was eye-opening. We've made so far from our farm this year $343,000,
Awesome.
and we spent 20.
There you go.
And
And that's like from like door knocking and stuff in your farm
flyers, yeah.
and flyers.
Yeah. Now that's after 6 years, right?
Yeah,
So
you
it's-
seeded it a long time ago.
Yeah, but that's just this year. And then we looked at, the only newspaper advertising we're doing now is the Guardian and Villager and the Mirror, so all the little local papers.
I do the same thing in Port Credit. I do Neighbors of Port Credit.
Okay,
and
so
Snap.
have you figured out how much money you've made from that?
You know what? It's more face recognition that I'm getting. Actually, an old client of mine, we'd lost touch. I didn't even know, like I'd sold her properties years ago. She rented for a bit. We lost touch. Called me in my area and I'm like, how did you know I was here now? She goes, the magazine.
Right, well, then you have.
Just when I wanted to cancel it, I'm like, okay, maybe it does work.
Right, so, yeah, so we only run those ads for open houses. And we know that they work to get people into the open houses. Because, hi, I'm Irene, how'd you hear about the open house? Oh, I saw your ad.
I saw your ad.
So we know that
Yeah.
works, but then when we looked at the business, there's been 0
From the actual, yeah.
from
Frank
the
Neal's
ad.
got- Frank
No, I
Neal's got a
hear
double
you.
page.
Is that?
Frank Neal's got a double page every week.
Yeah.
He must
I
have
think,
been-
I don't
And that was
know.
$6,400 just from,
Yeah, not
January.
cheap.
So, Irene.
But if you get a
Not
client
cheap.
Yeah, if you
from
get
the
a
open
client
house,
off your open house.
so you've
But I know-
advertised it, they wouldn't be there if they didn't see
Yeah.
the
But-
ad, and you've
but-
kind
Maybe
of
not.
indirectly got a
Drive by.
client
But
from
the
the ad.
open house people weren't, I track who comes from the ad.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Right, which is specifically why we did this. So the question is, do you do it for name recognition? It's 6,300, it's not 63,000, right? So, but it was eye-opening.
For me, I did, like, because I came into an area that was very niche, and I got some really heavy hitters, like, in my office and in my area, right? Like, when I left my brokerage, he was like, how are you going to compete with them? I'm like, I just need a little market share, and I'm going to get it, right? So I can't, like, when I started, afford to be in these fancy magazines, but I can be in the littler, local ones, right? So that was the avenue that I went in, and I'm really big on Facebook. And I do Google ads, which have been very successful for me. So I have them off right now because I can turn them on and off when I'm busy or not busy. But if you would Google like Port Credit Real Estate, I'm always like at the top. So that's been great to bring in sellers and buyers. I just picked up a client and they're going to sell and buy with me in the neighborhood. That's on Google. On Facebook, every other person's on Facebook, right? They're calling Facebook the new internet. So Facebook now, you can target by demographics, you put your chunky middle in there, meaning like your database or all the people that have visited your website. Like there's ways to do it where you can just be all over it. I know, you have to kind of understand it or have someone that can do it for you. But there's huge ways to be in front of people in terms of Facebook. No, you can, Facebook's very inexpensive in comparison to Google.
It was $38.
Yeah, $30 for a week.
For what, an advertisement you did?
Yeah, Facebook.
And how did it do?
I think over 4,500 people.
Yeah.
No wires.
Yeah.
What kind of expense did you have with Google to keep you up on top of the search?
So what I do with Google, what I like about the way I set it up is I manage it, so I can go in and I can turn them off. So if I'm on vacation or if I have just inundated with leads, I'll turn them off because I'm like, I just don't want to spend that daily. So I spend probably about $400 to $500 a month on Google. But I get quite good leads from there. I do, but Toronto would be more expensive than Port Credit would be, right? Because when I used to be focused more on Toronto and I was doing like I used to do a lot of the condo ads, then it got really pricey.
What kind of ads do you do? Just
It's to search for properties. Search for properties under 800, like it says, yeah, search for properties under 800, over 800, that has my direct phone number right in the ad, and then buyers just want to search properties. That's really all they want to do. So if your website has IDX on it and they can search easily, people will go in there, and then when they've looked at, is it 3 pictures, it prompts them to sign in. So it has a lead capture in it. If you don't have a lead capture on your website, they will not sign in or give it to you. They're not going to say contact you, and they'll never fill that out. So as annoying as it is, I did put the lead capture on, and I will get leads. Like people will look at a property, they'll ask for more info, and I would say 8 times out of 10 the phone number's right. So for me, when we track our source of business too, but not like the money part of it. That's really good that you. I gotta talk to my assistant. So we have like a spreadsheet that we created, and it tracks like every month where the business came from, and then it tallies up at the bottom, what percentage we are in what categories, and we have about 5 or 6. So far this year, repeat and referrals my highest, which is awesome, and then the next one's door knocking, which is new for me. So that's really awesome to finally and see it coming around. Do you guys door knock?
That's great, yes.
I know you do. I've seen you, yeah. And you? Okay. Oh, you do? How's it going?
Getting leads.
Yep.
It's just, the leads you get, sometimes they take a while to come to fruition.
They do.
I mean, I've had anything from 2 weeks to 5 years at this point.
Yeah.
So, and I'm sure they'll go
Yeah.
longer.
Yeah, and that was a real mindset change when I left, when I stopped selling mostly condos and started to do more homes, was the condo or that type of buyer, it was a lot quicker, I found. That urban, yeah, let's go, let's do it, okay. Sometimes you didn't even have to meet them if they were doing like an investment purchase. But now it's more relationship based. So when I'm meeting them and I'm door knocking and they're, yeah, we're gonna retire in 2 years, and great, okay, let's stay in touch, name, phone number, like I'll ask for it and then slap them with an 8x8. And I find that's really helped, the follow-up afterwards. And it took me a while to get into that mindset of following up because I didn't want to bother people, but nobody's told me, well, maybe one person told me not to stop.
You're in sales.
right? You got to have a little bit of a thick skin, and it's just people actually appreciate you following up. But I'm like, how am I going to send something like 8 weeks straight, or like that's going to be like tour calls. One of the touches is at the door, then a handwritten note, but then the other stuff in the mail, I'm like, they're going to tell me to buzz off, right? That was really scary for me.
What's the 8x8 composition?
So.
Calls the person know.
So it's at the door. That's my first touch, like at the door, meeting them, giving them whatever item of value it is, or maybe it's just I have like a door knocking card. It's like a bookmark. And then I'll take their information. They're not a lead to me unless I have a phone number and an email. I used to like just take their name and like we had a great conversation. I'd write their address down and like mail them something and hopefully they'd call. Now I'm like, you're not going to my database unless I have at least a phone number or an email, right? Some elderly people don't have an email, so the phone number is great. So that's touch one. Touch two would be a handwritten note. So I either do that a few days later or a week later. Touch three is a mailer. I think it's about a home evaluation. So we systemized it. My MAPS coach was like, systemize this and have your assistant do everything. Yes, I have to do the knocking and the 2 calls, but I just give her the lead and then she knows, okay, we're week 2, what she needs to do. And that was really a game changer with the 8x8.
So is that an offer on home evaluation?
It's just like you know, for a home evaluation. I can't remember exactly what it says, but it talks about like me offering them a free home evaluation or to someone they know, kind of thing, right? And then touch 4 is a call. Touch 5 is I think a home checklist. Like here's the things you do when you're preparing your home for sale. I forget 6 and 7, but they're other mailers. And then
Do you have
8.
stats? Is
And
there
then
anything
I
that's
don't
happening?
unless like we've had that conversation or say on the 4th call if they've mentioned something about that, but I won't randomly just send them stats. And then the 8th one is a call, and then from that call you're either going to get them or you're not, and then from there you'll decide based on your communication over those 8 weeks if you're going to stay in touch with them or not. What do you do?
Exactly that.
It's like it doesn't even really matter what you're mailing out.
Yeah, I was just about to
It's
say,
irrelevant.
It doesn't.
Don't overthink it.
So ours is card, newsletter, phone call. Then there were 2 follow-ups in the KW 8x8 that we adapted because they were kind of cheesy. And then it's another call and then it's an OPED. So we did 7.
You did 7.
And then determine.
What they're going to do. And then some of the write-ups I think I was at the time using the iExact CRM. And I think I got from their like email action plans. I took some stuff, made it my own. Very simple, go to eEdge. It doesn't matter what you're sending. Just send something and have it in your system. You can set it up, like you can set up an action plan in your CRM where it reminds you what week you're at. Like if you're just organized with it, and then say Fridays, you know, in the afternoon, you're sending out your next week's mailers or whatever it is. Or have your assistant do it.
I have a question. I struggle with the 8x8s. So the 8x8, even if you know they're not going to sell because they're seniors and they say 2 years, 3 years, do you put them on an 8x8 each week? Or
Sometimes I do, or sometimes I'll do it every 2 weeks.
either way, you do it
Yeah,
every
I
week
do
for
something.
everybody once you get a week.
I do.
Regardless if it's next week or,
Well, if it's next week, I wouldn't do an 8x8.
no, okay, I'm being facetious, but.
If they say they're not going to move for 2 to 5 years,
Yes.
I do.
Yeah,
Okay.
because it solidifies you.
Well, that's what
It's
I
just a- it's a
struggle.
mindset
All I
thing.
keep thinking, oh my God, it's her again. She's tweaking,
Well, that's-
treason. So that's where that.
Yeah, it
happens,
is.
right?
That's exactly how I used to be when I first started, and
Okay.
then it was all unorganized. I was like, what week am I at? Who got what? Like and then it wasn't until I really sat down and I organized it and we put an action plan together, and I'm like, this is how it happens. Here's our mailers. Get 100 of them printed for each. Fold them, have them in an envelope with a stamp, and literally we just have to pick it from the folder for that week. Write the address. You don't have to think about it.
I like that.
So for people
That was a game changer.
People that have,
Yep.
sorry, so for people that have said 2 years, after 8 weeks, they're likely not going to be selling.
No,
They're
but
not
you-
going to be doing anything.
no.
So what do you do at that point?
Well, when people say 2 years, it's usually a year, right? So it's always cut it in half. Or sometimes it's longer. But if I'm going to call them and I know they're not selling for 2 years or they've said that, I might share something about the market that I think would interest them, or I'll check to see if there's been a sale or a new listing in their area. So I have a reason to call.
Are you saying like for
Yeah, what do you
the
do?
other year and a half?
Oh, the other year and a half?
Because they might say to you, well, remember when we first met, I said 2 to
Yep.
5 years.
Okay.
So you don't have to send me something every week.
But you know what, your communication should say that. So
Yep.
what we did with the top producer is we customized it Lyle, it was nice meeting you, I know you're not moving yet,
Mhm.
but, whatever
Yeah.
the thing is, and on the phone call, hey, Lyle, just wanted to check in, I know you're not moving, don't worry, I'm not gonna harass you, I just wanna make sure you got my mailers.
Yeah.
And the last phone call is the same, hey, yeah, me again, just wanna make sure.
Just thought of you as in the area, whatever it is. And then, you know what, it's after those 8 weeks, I'll put them on either my monthly mailer that I do with like Morris Marketing, nothing fancy guys. Or if they're if I got their email, they're gonna get stuff from me, whether it's like I do like a monthly blast. I don't email out my listings anymore because I just feel like I was inundating people with emails and they were
We're
unsubscribing.
starting to feel like that.
Yeah, so I was like, I'm sending too many emails. So now I'm respecting their emails, but we did send something today about the new rules to everybody. So they're gonna get something.
Substitute a listing that you're doing for a touch?
Yeah.
Another touch, like a mailer? Because it shows that you're actually active
Yeah.
in the area.
100%. Yeah, and even on one of your calls, you could say like, I just sold such and such. I just wanted to let you know what, whatever you have to say. Yeah,
What's happening on the street or the
Yeah.
neighborhood too.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
talking about
like
it
it's
all the
sold in
time.
the neighborhood
Yeah,
or something.
yeah. I mean, you can also, let them know that you can let them know if there's something that's sold on their street or whatnot. I don't know if
Better
you're
you let
legally
them
allowed
know
to
than
do that
than
though,
selling
if
it.
they're not a client, but I know. I know there's one agent that when he door knocks, he actually will ask the client, get their email by keeping in touch with them monthly, even though they're not looking to sell, just to keep them in the loop as to pricing. So there's ways.
On your 8x8, the
Yeah.
mailer, is it a snail mail or email?
I do snail mail. They're going to get email from me regardless because we do emails within our database for different things. So they will get an email. I do send out an annual calendar. They're going to get that too once they're in that mailer database. But for me, I feel like they're opening it. Nobody, and the emails are getting lost nowadays. I don't know, what do you think? Like, I'm inundated with emails. Like, it overwhelms me.
That's what I was gonna.
I'm like,
If you get better response for a
Stop.
certain type of touch, you sort of track that to know, because like you said, people get a lot of email.
People
Sometimes
get
it
a
doesn't-
lot, like email marketing is effective. It is if you use it right. It's all about now not sending mass emails. Apparently it's like having your database organized where you have people most likely to sell, people most likely to buy, like knowing, and that's hard to have that organized.
Microgroups,
Yeah, it's having microgroups. That's the new thing now versus I was always just mass emailing it all, right? But they say not to do that
I
anymore.
think it goes
Are
into
you,
spam now.
yeah, are you
We
spam?
don't get it, it goes into spam.
No, but
Yeah.
did you send out to everybody saying, do you want my email or not?
I did when we were supposed to do that.
Yeah, you did it.
I did. You know what? I sent a Halloween mailer out, an email out, and we have the capability in our CRM to put their first name versus just having no name, and it got a really big response. I'm like, is it because we addressed them like, hey, Irene, in the email?
Probably.
Because I don't always do that.
They had to open it to see that though.
They would have had to open the email, and I had a lot of people reply to that email. So I don't know if that's the reason.
With,
Are you still using Exact Contact for that?
I am using Exact Contact because I do Morris Marketing, like I do for my past clients. It's just easy. But we've recently this year started using Follow Up Boss. Have you guys ever? I don't want to overwhelm you with a new CRM. Follow Up Boss. Yeah, so we've started using them because, they integrate with the Gmail calendar and stuff. But what I really like about them is they have action plans. So you can, if you have, say, Google ads coming through or Facebook ads, they can come through Follow Up Boss, and it sends them an automatic text message and email. And the auto text has been a game changer because people don't want to respond to emails, but they'll respond to the text. And I don't know any other CRM that does that. So, and then also they has an inbox, and the only people in the inbox in the CRM are people that are in your database. So it's not like being in your regular where it has all different, you're inundated with different things. When I want to lead gen and I go into Follow Up Boss, the inbox that I open there is just people in my database that have responded to a text or an email. So I just feel like I can be more focused. So you check them out, they're good.
what do you find works the best for you getting their contact information?
You mean getting their phone number or their
Like knocking
email?
on the door, and then if they're not moving for 5 years, you manage to get their.
Not always.
their email, or
Not always. Usually, if I can feel the vibe how the conversation's going, and then I'll just let them. I'll usually just ask, I'd love to stay in touch with you. I live and I work in the neighborhood. I farm around where I live, so I can say that. Some of them recognize me from my newsletter. That's really helpful. So I'll be like, you probably recognize me from my Applewoods newsletter. Oh, yeah. And I'd love to stay in touch with you. I know you're not looking to do anything, soon. Could I get your phone number? And I usually, I ask for their phone number first, and then I'll ask for their email. And I type it into my phone in my notes. But there's some people that only give you one or the other, or someone that won't give you, but you've had a great chat and they're like, I have your info. I'll send them a card.
Just go back to the door.
Or just go back to the door.
Gotcha.
You know what I did over, we've kind of gone off track, but over Thanksgiving, right before Thanksgiving, is I had pumpkins. And I just got 20. And I went around to some door knocking leads that I know they're going to do something soon, and actually stopped at the house with the pumpkin, and that was really successful. I did mums last year, and I got a great response and listings from it. Just a little pumpkin and a tag, and had some great conversations. Just out in the neighborhood, visiting people. A little time consuming, but it's just that little extra touch. And then I did the same thing with cookies last year, Christmas cookies, just for a select few that I know are on my radar. I can't do it with everybody. Someone I know did 70 pumpkins, and I'm like, no, see, I can't do that.
If you have a segment, for example, like Christmas, of all the people that you don't know that said they're thinking about transacting in 2018, and those are sort of low-hanging fruit that you might want to invest a few dollars in bringing a pumpkin.
70, I know. I'm like, what? No.
How would you store those?
I don't know. No, I just did. No, I just know who my hot prospects are.
Right away.
What are we talking about?
Okay,
We're talking about a pumpkin. Anyways, we're totally off track. We're talking. But you know what? It kind of goes in hand with the expense management, because looking at ways to generate leads without spending any money, and door knocking is really the cheapest way, I believe. And it's the only way I've gotten some kind of market share in my new area. And I've had, success this year, and it's from door knocking.
How much do you know?
Not as much as I should.
Okay,
I try to do twice a week.
Is anybody else in your area door knock?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's unusual.
Are you kidding? Not funny. Wherever we go, all I hear is,
So many people knock on our door.
So the color decisions.
See, Ted, nobody knocks.
One guy.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't think about other people. I think about what I'm doing. And
My own house.
I would probably say majority of agents don't have a follow-up system in place. So most agents don't.
There's a pretty good app called Spotio.
I heard about it, but I don't think
It's
it's
super
Canadian.
It's
Is
what?
it? Is it Canadian? You can use it in
Yes,
Canada?
You stand in front of the house, the address pops up, and you can put in names, notes.
I've heard of
Yeah,
this.
it's,
Have you used it?
I've tried it, I just
Wanna
have
see it?
paper and pen.
You need to be a little careful with it because it can sometimes pick up, it's not always accurate, so you have to check that it's got the right
Yeah,
house.
exactly. That's
And then you'll know the person's name?
Yeah, you enter all the details and it pins it on the map and you can color code it green.
Green,
is a lead,
lead.
orange is
Geez,
a
I'm downloading
don't
that
knock
app.
at the store.
What's
So you
Oh,
go,
okay.
and then, so this is obviously a big building, but so you tap on it,
And then you can see all
and it
this
gives
stuff.
you the address.
And then when you're there, you can just
say-
put their name and their phone
So you
number.
put in status, not home,
Yeah.
interested, lead, whatever, and then you can,
Told me to bugger off.
and then you have notes.
That's
and-
awesome.
And, and then you go back.
That
and
would work
go-
for me because I do it in my phone. I
so
don't
when
do
you
pen
go-
and paper,
So
yeah.
when you go back, you can say, okay, I'm only going to knock the ones that have
Yeah.
not, they were either weren't there or whatever.
Or
So
if I had a good,
You just have to make sure you stand
in the right direction facing them.
It's a little difficult with townhouses, but usually it works pretty good.
Awesome.
Yay!
On to the next slide. I'm not going to talk about pumpkins anymore. So another thing that I started to do when the market was shifting is doubling up on your lead gen, because there's fewer great leads when the market shifts. When the market was on fire, we were inundated with leads. I'm sure you guys were. We just couldn't handle all of them. Then when it shifts, there's fewer leads. So you got to do twice as much work to get the same results, right? So more door knocking, more calling, follow up. 70% of deals come from follow up. So that's somewhere where I really fell behind when things are busy, was the follow up. Yeah.
No.
So pricing. Pricing is crucial, and we want to price ahead of the market, right? Now more than ever, we don't want to price like how we were in the spring for obvious reasons. And it's about letting our clients know this is where the pricing is. This is where the average days are in the market are. This is what's been happening in the last 60 days. Our stats have been a little messed up as of lately because they're including the April ones. So when you're looking at, I find when I've been in listing presentations in the last few months, the stats have been off because of those results, right? So it's really talking about clients. This is what's happening now. So there was a saying, I was reading this, I can't remember and I put it here, but it was saying, oh yeah, it was from the Shift book. When the market shifts, buyers and sellers become overly guarded and set in motion another intriguing game of the price is right. Instead of guessing there is no top, buyers now predict there is no bottom. Right? And I think that's something, and when I was reading that, I'm like, I really like that because that's exactly what's happening, right? Is how low is it going to go?
Just like when they were back in March, how high is it gonna go for sellers?
Yeah.
But
Exactly.
that's the top.
Exactly. How low is it going to go? I mean, I went to a seminar a few weeks ago with Genworth. I don't know if you guys have had them in to talk in the office or whatnot, but they're really awesome. And they talked about the market and where we're headed. They still predict a very strong market, but they're like, we're the GTA. So other markets might get hit more than us or prices might go down, but we're relatively safe because of where we're located.
Yeah, 2008 was the perfect example of that.
Yeah.
Exactly. It was like a little bit of a
Yeah, like-
bump, right?
Well, because sellers always take longer to adjust. And that's with anything, whether it's oil prices
Yeah.
or especially with housing, because people will say, wait, well, I should get this. And then they won't move, and no sales, and then one or two might have to sell because they bought. But other than that, the market will stay, find itself.
No, exactly. And I mean, from a seller's perspective, if they're moving and buying somewhere else, they
Yeah,
have to take that into consideration as well, right?
Yeah.
So that market's also going to be shifted. So it all evens itself out. But I love that saying when I was reading it there. So when the market shifted, I redid my listing presentation. So I thought it was a great opportunity to really now, more than ever, I got to go into these presentations and show the client exactly what I do that's different. So that was one of the strategies that me and my assistant worked on. We call it Love Your Listing. And we went through it from top to bottom and revamped our whole listing presentation. So before, when the market was really busy, I mean, people really thought we just have to really, sometimes all you really did have to do was put a sign up and Tuesdays at 7 o'clock, and it was happening. But when the market shifts and things are sitting longer and you have more competition, you want to make sure that your listing's standing out. So it's, price and how it's showing and how it's being marketed. So we went through a whole step-by-step process from 1 to 10 on exactly what we do to showcase our listings and get top dollar for our clients. So that's been really great in our listing presentations when we're sitting there with our clients and going through we do lifestyle videos versus just virtual tours, or our targeted Facebook advertising versus just, doing a post. So all those things we really went into detail with our clients. And we took the summer to do that. Yeah, so that was really good. Some of this we've already talked about. Have any of you guys taken some time to revamp any of your strategies or your marketing? Yeah. And I'd like to, someone brought up about the stats that you had seen in probably Kate Peter, one of her presentations, and I've been in one of hers as well. And that's, a really good one to have when we're sitting with our clients is looking at those stats and the days on market and showing them, even TREB has something monthly that comes out that we probably should use more in our presentations, where you can look, okay, last October to this October, where exactly are we at in terms of the average price, the days on the market, and you sit there and you can make it your own and go through that stuff with your clients, right? Stuff that we weren't necessarily doing before because we didn't have to. You didn't have to, right? Now it's, you got to do those kind of things.
There's a bunch of stuff in there that isn't so well publicized, like how many listings actually do get listed.
Oh, in the TREB one?
Yeah, it's.
It doesn't if you have.
30%, or depending on, on the region. So it's not like, even in the spring when everybody thought everything sells, not everything sells. And I think that's not very well publicized.
Yeah, but you can do your own search for your own neighborhood
I was just gonna say, you can target it, like if
Exactly.
you're
Exactly.
going to a certain area, you're gonna have the TREB ones, but you'll look at those ones specifically, because market, like different stats for different markets.
Yeah, and also by housing type, it really did it.
Oh, yeah, for sure, for sure. But people, were so used to what the market was that we kind of, the public and, some agents really forgot what a normal market was. And that's really where the biggest mindset is making sure that we're having those conversations with our clients. Like, I don't want to take a listing that's overpriced and their head's in the clouds, because I can't deliver those results. But I can deliver you some great results in comparison to what other people are getting. There's a lot of signs that are still up. My listings are selling. So I'd rather take listings where the client is invested in the process and serious about selling. More so now than ever, right? I won't take a listing just to take a listing.
And when you go to a listing
Yep.
presentation, how do you probe for that motivation? Like some people do, like on a scale of 1 to 10, how
It's probably in the pre-qualifying questions that I would probe more versus when I get there. So, asking the question of why they're moving, where are they going to. Time frame is a big one. You want them to really narrow in on the time frame they're looking to do this, because if they don't have a time frame, then how serious are they? So asking those questions ahead of time would be the pre-qualifying, is how I'm determining how serious they are. So I usually have a good grasp before I go in the presentation to where their mindset is about the move. Yeah. Yeah, and we, how many of you guys do a pre-list presentation, like you send prior? Do you? Do you mail it or email it, you guys?
I email it if
Okay.
it's short, or courier if I have a day or two.
Now, do you find that people actually go through it before you come?
Some do. It's long.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Because we have our new one that we did that's like a nice booklet. We got it done, but we made it, it's not too long. Like, we did shorten it, because people, I find nowadays, they want short. They don't want flashy websites. Like, we've completely gone simple and all that stuff. But I send out a link with the presentation as well, and it goes into our live videos, our listing videos. I would say 9 times out of 10 people don't look at it.
Oh, really?
No. Like, oh, did you get an opportunity to look at it? No, I didn't. So then I'm going through it in the presentation, right?
Yeah, I find they say, well, yeah, I looked at it, but
I didn't look at all of it. That's another one, right? So I just wondered how about you?
Yeah, I drop it off and.
So you actually deliver it?
Yeah, yeah. If it's in the neighborhood,
Yeah.
it's close by.
I think it really depends on your client, because I had one guy that went through it, like,
Every
right,
single word, right?
yeah, and it kind of caught me off guard, because you forget, and there was the bio stuff, and I forgot what was written.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, yeah.
So if they do look at it, do you find it has an impact?
Yes.
Does it make it?
Yeah,
easier?
because
Yeah,
they
go
can,
ahead.
a lot of their
They
questions
answer a lot
are,
of their questions.
yeah, and I'll say that to them. I'm going to send you something over that will answer a lot of your questions before the presentation. It's going to go through 1 to 10, how we prep and market our listings for sale. Take a look at it before we come, but then so many people don't, I find. So I was just wondering, because I haven't always sent one, so I'm still experimenting.
We've converted ours to a link from the PDF.
Yeah, and then I went to, I think it was at Family Reunion last year. There was some agent up on the panel that does really well, and he was saying that they've done both, and they get just the same results with either. So it doesn't matter if it's being dropped off or a link. I'm like, well, in that case, I'm just emailing it then,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It'd be time.
For the higher end stuff, because we have it in a hardbound book for the higher end stuff.
Yeah,
Collection listings, as opposed to just a clear cover.
yeah,
It's like a hardcover,
Yeah.
book cooker.
yeah.
I think it still also speaks to your professionalism, regardless of whether or not something
For sure.
necessarily.
Yeah, you're going out of your way.
Credibility building.
Yeah, for sure. And it's another way to touch with the person and show them you're on top of your game,
Yeah.
right? Those are all things that I've done to change, my strategies with the shift. And we're still kind of in it right now, right? We're still now have these new rules that were announced yesterday, and we're figuring out how that's going to affect the market. But you know what? There's always someone that needs to buy or sell. So for me, I'm just like, I don't lose sleep over it, because I'm like, there's always someone, you got to move. And you can't time the market. You can't time the market.
Corey,
I know
need
you
to
gotta
say
leave.
Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. I'm going to be wrapping
Yeah.
up soon
Yeah.
anyways. This is actually my last slide. And the gift of shift, this was at the end of the book for for you guys that read it. God grant me the serenity to accept the people I cannot change, the courage to change, the one I can, and the wisdom to know it's me. So I thought that was kind of awesome, right? Yeah. Yeah, do you guys have any questions? I know we got off topic with the 8x8s and stuff.
But that was really helpful.
Yeah. You know what, the last presentation I did was about that, and people were so curious about that. But
Well, there's that.
systemize it. You'd be surprised how,
It's kind of interesting, we're in the process of it, but it's like this little puzzly sort of yes, no kind of going on. But
Where's your farm?
I'll see if I can find what that one says. It's nothing really fancy. My farm, so like Port Credit area, Applewood Acres by like the Longo there. Yeah, yeah.
How do you systematize it with the emails? You set up a campaign?
For my 8x8s,
Yeah.
well, we mail them out.
You don't email?
No.
You don't use email?
No, like I will input their email in our system. So they'll get other emails like our market report we do monthly and anything like the blast I sent today about the changes in the market. But the 8x8, it's either a call or we're mailing it out.
Is it a handwritten address envelope?
Yes, 100%. Because they say if it's an addressed envelope, they'll more likely open it than not, right? So, but we just...
The open rate's much higher.
It is, and I figure people are, I'm inundated with emails, I don't know if it's gonna go to their spam, let's get it out in the mail, at least I know they're gonna open it, right? And out of all the times I've done an 8x8, I've only had one person call me to say stop. It was recently, actually. He's like, we had a great conversation, he's like, but, you know, don't wanna receive stuff in the mail. I said, no problem,
I had a guy call.
off you come, but it's the only person.
When I followed up with a guy who was, I was doing the 8x8s or something by email, and when we were calling, he did say, oh, well, I like your information, but I do have an agent, so that's okay.
Well, that's-
But you know what? Then you say like, oh, you know, I hope your agent works in the area, and it's always good to have a second opinion, and I'd love to be that second opinion. You know what? I never thought of that.
Yeah.
Because you never know, because a lot of times it's a family member or friend that doesn't even live in the area or around the house, I find, when they say that.
Yeah. When it's Irene, I drop it. No, I'm kidding. I gotta go.
Oh, yeah.
I'm kidding.
When it's someone from your office, yeah, that's
Yeah,
awkward.
No, I'm kidding. It was very good, thank you.
Thank you.
I gotta go.
Bye, thanks.
With the 8x8, if you set up what you're going to do and just say, you know, I'm probably going to send you about 6 things about a week apart.
I don't do that, but
Because that way they know.
yeah. But they might be like, that might overwhelm them. Like,
Yeah.
are you going to send me 6 things?
Well, no, I'm going to send you some information on this and this.
I just say, I'm going to send you some stuff in the mail, some information, stay in touch. I keep it very light and simple. Yeah. Yeah, I think I would scare them away if I did that. But the trick with the 8x8 is, I don't know how many of you guys have assistants, but have your assistant do it and systemize it so you know, like, touch 3 is this particular mailer, and you already have them, like, folded up and in an envelope. That was the game changer for us. Otherwise, it's too much to do it on your own or every week to keep track of and try to find the mailer.
My assistant's much too ornery.
Really? Oh. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough to do it all. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming
I hope you
out.
learned something. Okay, bye, guys.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.